Today we are here in the historical capital of Thailand, the former capital itself, Ayutthaya, which is famous for these old historical temples, beautiful architecture, very distinct, very unique to this particular place. This is scattered around the city. We're going to be visiting several of these temples today, but I want to talk about the sad truth about living in Thailand, that not many people will actually ever see this type of thing. Many people coming to Thailand fits into two categories. You've got the youngsters, the young travelers, or you've got the let's say older travelers with certain desires. Of course you have those middle sections, but primarily when you walk around, those are the two demographics that you mainly see, and places like this often get ignored in favor of the islands, which are beautiful. Don't get me wrong, I love the islands. Of course they are, in my opinion, the most beautiful thing and the biggest attraction of this country. But for those who stay here long term, people often ignore this type of place in favor of staying and repeating the same routine. And I think it is one of the sad parts of life here for some people. See, Thailand is a beautiful, layered country. Lots of culture, lots of history. It's actually the only Southeast Asian, possibly Asian, Southeast Asian country that was never colonized. And there's a lot of history right here in Ayutthaya about why that is, but most people just ignore those facts. So let's talk about what is the sad truth about life here in Thailand as an expat. Because when you come out here as an expat, whether you like it or not, whether you keep yourself to yourself, you end up getting lumped into that Farang category. And I've spoken in other videos about the type of reception, let's call it, that you will get if you are living out here permanently, if you are in a relationship with a Thai woman. Most of it's pathetic, but you can learn to live with it. You just learn that the people making those comments don't actually know anything. The reason that these stereotypes exist is because I've noticed this cycle of exploitation in certain parts of Thai society. People exploiting others. So first of all, you've got expats coming out here who are looking for company. They are being exploited in the sense that they are having to pay for that company. Now, if they are aware of this, I've got no issue with it. It's the people who start pushing those insecurities, those observations about women onto other people. They're the ones who I have problems with. Let's talk about the girls themselves. They are being exploited, in my opinion, by several different types of people, and the men are not actually the issue. You know, when they go to approach these men, when they speak to these men, and I'm not talking about details here, I'm just talking about the general consensus of what these places that attract certain types of men are like. The girls know what they're getting themselves into, and most of the men who frequent these places will stay in line. I feel like there's exploitation from a pressure from the family, and I don't like to say that, but some of these girls are being forced into a situation that they may or may not be comfortable with, due to the fact that maybe they are beautiful girls and they can monetize that in some way. Now, the things that they have to do in order to monetize that, some of them, maybe just having a conversation, is fair enough. Some of it they might not be so easy with, so it really is dependent on the individual. We've also got these bars which offer these girls from potentially less affluent backgrounds an opportunity to build up some money easily. You know, little work required, education not necessary. All they have to do is, number one, look attractive, and number two, be able to entertain, whether that be playing pool, whether that be drinking shots with the customers. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about what else happens in these scenarios, because honestly, it's none of my concern. I'm just speaking from what I've heard, from what I've seen, from what I've heard from first-hand experience, I might add, because I've got friends who go to these places. Doesn't mean they're necessarily bad people. It's completely their choice what they do. From a female perspective, it depends how far they are willing to go, and the type of money they are getting for it. And I say all this as someone who loves Thailand, who loves living here, who has a Thai wife, a half Thai child. I'm going to be here for the long haul. Some of you may be thinking, considering moving here, and you may want to have some insight into what you can expect depending on your personal situation. That is all I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to share some information which most people will be aware of, but some may not. You do see day-to-day beneficiaries of this situation, this matchmaking situation, let's call it. I think there's this misconception that if you speak about something, it means it offends you. I honestly don't care what people do in their personal situation. I care when people attack me or my family, but I don't care what people do. It's just a fact that this is one of the things that happens here, which is very evident when you are living here long term. If you come here for a week, go to a private resort on Koh Samui, you're probably not going to see any of that stuff. But if you are here day to day, going to various places throughout the society, not just staying in one place, you are going to see this type of thing, whether it be couples walking around in the daytime, or if you do go out at nighttime, you are definitely going to get snippets of it as you walk through the nightlife districts. So we've just relocated to this museum, and if you come to Thailand, you're going to see a lot of gold shops around. Gold is still very, very valuable, important culturally here in Thailand. Whilst back in the West, maybe the allure of gold has dimmed in recent times. Here in Thailand, it is still very much the most desirable metal. Is that what it is? But dual pricing system, guys. 30 wife, 150 baht for the Farang husband. No. That sort of stuff doesn't bother me. I don't know why people get bothered by tourists. I mean, I know I'm not a tourist, I live here, but tourists having to pay a little bit more, it's not a big deal. So back to the topic at hand, the darkness of Thailand. Should that bother you? Should that put you off Thailand? Should that ruin your potential experience, your potential new life out here in Thailand? No, of course not. Not unless you're a 9-year-old kid who lets things get in your head, who gets bothered when people say nasty things. I mean, you know, social media, I'm not talking about that in this video, but that's a completely different ball game. If you put stuff on social media, that's when you're really going to see the dark side of people's perspective. But if you've got thick skin, if you're a grown adult, it shouldn't bother you at all. Tell you what does sometimes leave a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth. I was in Tesco Lotus about 6 or 7 months ago, and I saw a very young looking girl, maybe like 18, 19 years old, carrying a baby. She didn't look healthy. She looked far too young to be a mum. I don't know if there was something wrong with her. And then suddenly a very old Western man comes up and puts his hand around her waist and starts kissing the baby. Now, maybe it was her father, maybe it was her grandfather. I don't think so. The tone, the vibe I was getting, it was very uncomfortable, and it does bring a bit of sadness because that's that girl's life. I don't know if that man is actually the father of that child, but when you think that these type of things are happening, that these girls are effectively giving up their lives and being submissive, sacrificing their freedom in order to fill what they see as a duty and obligation, there is an element of sadness about that. About 8 months ago, a friend of mine was visiting Bangkok with his girlfriend. They were out drinking. We went out. I had a couple of drinks with them. I haven't seen him for a long time. And at about 2 a.m. we decided to go home. And as we were walking back towards Sukhumvit, we had to pass through whichever one it is. You know, there's one of the soys which is full of all of that type of thing, and it's just depressing to see. Maybe earlier in the night it's a bit of a tourist attraction. Hey handsome, hello handsome man, come on inside. Maybe it's fun for young groups of lads. Of course, I did it the first time I came to Thailand. We walked through those areas, we had a couple of drinks, and then we moved on to pastures new. But to these guys who are there at 2 o'clock in the morning, pinned up against the wall, negotiating with a lady of the night. There's an element of sadness to that on both sides. I mean, that is that guy's life. That is what he's been working towards all night. But also that girl, she sees an opportunity to make money and she wants that. Nice to see, you know. So, of course, you create your own reality, and that is exactly what I do. I don't go out here in Thailand anymore. I'm too old for it, but I'm not against going out. And when I do go out, I like to have a more peaceful, relaxing night. Sometimes I do see it, sometimes I don't see it, but you've got to create your own reality when you come out here. You've got to ignore the noise. Yes, there is a dark side of this country, of the people who come here, the types of lifestyles they live when they do come here, but there are so many pros, 1,000 times more pros that outweigh the cons. So do not let those sort of things bother you. Do not let those sort of things put you off. You've got a reason to be out here, then so be it. Come out here, live your best life. That is what I'm trying to do right now. We are exploring the country week to week. Last week I was in Hua Hin. Week before I was in Pattaya. This week I'm in Ayutthaya. Next week, who the hell knows where I'm going to end up. Might do a little trip to Koh Lan. I've never been there before, but that is why you move here to Thailand. Those are the opportunities, the types of things that you can experience, not as a one-off, not as a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but as your lifestyle, the lifestyle that you live. That is the lifestyle I want to live out here, and that is the lifestyle I recommend to you. Hope you enjoyed this one. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.